Welcome to part one of a two-part series. I'm looking at the artist illustrator Yellana James's work, and she creates these beautiful seascapes that are amazingly detailed. I think they've got a watercolour background looking at them, so I'm going to have a go at trying to find out how she creates her work so that I have an idea how to approach this with my year sevens, and also it will give me some insight into the sorts of problems they may encounter and what kind of materials we'll be using. So we're going to have a go. In this video, it's going to be looking at a watercolour background and then I'll be sketching out some details. So I'm starting off with just some watercolours on some nice paper. I'm just going to blob some colours on. I'm going to go for some warm colours in this one. So oranges, yellows and some pinky colours. So I'm just putting two wet colours together. I've not used any water on the base to start off with. And I'm just going to have a little play around with blending in some of these colours into each other. But I don't want to go too mad sort of blending them, because I want my colours to be... I want some distinct areas of colour. So all I'm doing is just blobbing it on, and we'll see where we end up. So just putting a decent amount of colour on and then a little bit of water. And then just drying it all off with my hairdryer for speed. Although I do think you get some quite nice edges if you use a hairdryer to dry, so I might try that again with them in class. Okay, so this is the original. This is what we're aiming for. You can see that on top of the background, you've got these absolutely gorgeous lines. I've seen some videos where she's painting using what looks like either acrylic or oil paint. I'm not sure. We will be using watercolour though, so we'll see how that goes. So here's my background. It's a small piece of paper. We'll probably be working a little bit bigger, A4 size maybe. So I'll be working a bit smaller today. So I've got my watercolours and I'm picking up first of all like a raspberry colour, and just to show you that I'm going to be trying to create some nice thin lines using a fine brush. So I'm just going to start drawing in some of the, I don't know how to describe them, they're sort of like, they're not corals, they look like jellyfish sort of shapes. So just doing the middle and the outside, and then I'm going to add some lines. Unfortunately my hand gets in the way, sorry about that. So I'm just going to add some little thin lines using the edge of the brush. So obviously I'm doing this with year 7, so we will have to have a little practice for how to paint sort of neatly with thin lines with a paintbrush, but it's a good skill to learn. So trying as neatly as I can to paint, it's not as easy as it looks by the way, to paint these lines in. It doesn't matter if they're not absolutely perfect, but if you look at Yellana's work, her lines are really lovely and they're quite regular as well. Okay, so the next thing I did was decided I needed a little bit more of that raspberry colour, so I painted a little bit more. Then I thought I'd try a little bit of acrylic white to see whether that would work to give me some nice white lines, because we can use that in school as well. So I want to do another of those sort of jellyfish shapes. So it's sort of like a flower, isn't it? So I start off doing the outline and then just go in with another layer. You have to water this paint down slightly, this acrylic, because it is quite thick. So it's not as opaque as it could be, but if you go in with a couple of layers, it doesn't look too bad. I think this is going to be too difficult for my year 7s, because I'm going to be honest here, I struggle to get these lines really thin, so I might have to have a little rethink on the acrylic with my year 7s. I found some acrylic ink, so I thought I'd go in and have a little play with that. So painting another shape in the corner. which is quite nice. And then I tried to do some little sort of seaweedy fronds with that, and it worked quite well. But I think we could easily do this with watercolour paint as well. So no need to use acrylic ink really. And then just using some watercolour again, I painted the centre of that circle. Okay, then I decided to go back in with the white paint and paint some of those seaweed shapes in the white to make it stand out a bit. I mean, it does look really nice on top of the watercolour background if you use a lighter colour. So I'll just have to see what we think. Okay, so then I just speeded it up and painted those bits on. So I do think that my year 7s are going to struggle to paint very, very neatly. So we are going to have a lot of practice in doing that. So again, just painting on some details. I mean, I have to say, if we do this as a project, this is going to be a lovely project for them to learn brush skills and some nice control. So it's a good thing to do. So I'm just finishing up that red seaweedy effect and adding some little white dots to the seaweed. So join me for part 2 where we will be doing a bit more detail and adding a few more colours to hopefully get it looking a bit more Yellana James-ish.